Kath Connell's Filmmaking Studio presents Wholehearted Marketing!
Hi everyone, welcome to our very first member Q&A session today. I'm delighted to have with us Karen Hollenbach, who is going to speak to us about LinkedIn. Karen would love to tell us a little bit more about why she loves LinkedIn so much and what she does. So I'm going to hand you over to Karen, and then we're going to shoot off some of our member questions to help us all learn a little bit more about using LinkedIn.
Thank you, Kath. Thank you for having me, and hello, everybody. Why do I love LinkedIn, and who am I? So I'm a Melbourne-based consultant that works with small businesses and career changes, and I help people tell their story. And in telling their story on LinkedIn, it helps you speak to your ideal client, and I'll talk a lot about that today in terms of answering your questions, and really give you confidence to be focused on delivering the results that you need for your business. And Kath, you probably talk with your clients a lot about their target market and their ideal client.
Yeah.
So what I do is very much, focused on that and helping you be, efficient and effective with your time. So I love LinkedIn because more than any other platform I play on, and I do play on a number of platforms, I probably get the greatest return for my business in terms of sales conversion from the time that I spend on LinkedIn. So I'll talk about that today too, because I think that's, some of the questions that I think, will potentially cover. People always say, why LinkedIn? Everyone tells me I should be on it, but I don't actually understand why.
Yeah, and that is pretty much what our first question kicking off today is. So that we've got a few of our members said they were fairly new to LinkedIn. They've set up a profile, but they're really not quite sure what to do with it and where to go with it, and they don't understand the benefits of LinkedIn. So perhaps that's a good place to start.
Okay, so there's probably 4 areas. If I'm thinking about a small business owner, there's 4 key areas that I would say the reason why, or the benefits or things you can do on LinkedIn. So I'm going to sort of summarise them. The first one is to control the information that people find about you when they type in your name in any search engine. The second one is research. So that's research that you can do anonymously about your competitors, and if you don't do it, you should. And the second one is research of your ideal client. So if you are very focused and understand who you're after and their job, their role title or the industry or their location, there are advanced search functions on LinkedIn. So that's the second one, research. The third one is networking. So depending on your lifestyle, your location, you may not be able to get to networking business events as often as you'd like. And you might want to prioritise billable hours or time, if you retail in a store. So LinkedIn's a great way to network from the comfort of your home or your laptop or your phone these days. 60% of users are actually use LinkedIn from their phone.
Okay.
And then the fourth way is just to learn. So if you think there's an opportunity for your business to move into a particular industry with clients, there's groups, there's 4 out of 5 Australian professionals are on the platform. But I would say, Kath, with all of these things, you really need to be clear about who your ideal client is. So who are you trying to influence? And that might not be the end client. It might also be people to refer. So to refer your services. So I use LinkedIn as much to support and my business community by encouraging my colleagues as I do to speak to my ideal clients, because I know that everyone, say you, for example, know 300 other people. So it's a real platform from that point of view. So I was just going to summarise the 4 points, but I think I've basically told you. I might just elaborate a bit more on the first one, which is control the information that people find out about you online. So because LinkedIn's such a massive platform, hopefully you've done a really good job with your website, but the reality is that LinkedIn is so big, all the major organisations are on it globally, and there's a lot of activity on it. So that means that if you've got a fully optimised profile, and all that means is all the key details of your profile filled in, when someone types in your name, your LinkedIn profile will come up, and it's an opportunity to control the information that people see about you. So you can really tell your story and get across the message that you want other professionals to, or potential clients or potential colleagues to see about you through your profile on LinkedIn. It's not a resume. If you're not job hunting and you're running a small business, it's certainly not a resume.
Yeah, and that's where I think a lot of people sort of think it is, and that's why they're not sure they should be on it. So
yeah, and it was traditionally been a place for organisations to have a career page. It's really disrupted the recruitment industry, and it's still very much used for that purpose. And LinkedIn from its role in being a place to find jobs. However, with the publishing platform and LinkedIn moving to more of a content marketing platform, there's so many opportunities now to really give people the opportunity to, I'm not going to say stalk you online, but we all know that we do research. You know, people want to decide if they want to do business with you, and LinkedIn is your opportunity to do that. Just, you know, allow them to see what you're and put links into your website and show them the projects that you're on, and, you know, show recommendations from other people. It will put you in a really strong position if people are deciding if they want to buy you.
cool. Now, I don't want to spend too long today talking about your profiles and optimizing those, because I know you've got a fantastic tool that we'll hopefully get to talk about a bit later. But Anne did have a question about your profile, and she wanted to know whether your profile should be written in first or third person.
So it's a really good question. It's probably the first bit of feedback I give to people if it's written in the third person. So my recommendation is write in the first person. And the reason for that is it's not a resume, and it's a way for people to get a sense of who you are. So if you write in the first person, I often write at the start of profiles, thank you for viewing my profile. If that's appropriate for your client base, you know, talk to people like, imagine LinkedIn's a big room and people are stepping through a door into your profile or stepping into a conversation with you. If they read your profile and it's addressing them and talking to them, it makes you much more approachable, and it gives people a sense of who you are. If you write in the third person, it's detached and impersonal and not as effective.
Yep, awesome. Okay, so moving on, Amanda was asking, is it appropriate to sell direct to people via messages on LinkedIn? And she's received a few herself, and I have as well. And she absolutely hates it when they're generic. But what if they're specific to that person, or is it just a no-go? And I know that I also had this issue when I was like putting out Wholehearted Marketing for the first time. It's like, I didn't go there. I just went, I'm not going to contact anybody and tell them other than what came up in my profile. So is it appropriate, or?
It depends on your business and it depends on your philosophy. So know about me that think bespoke. My business means tailored. So while I understand there's a real movement towards automation in terms of running businesses, and that there are many opportunities to do that across different areas of your business, I'd suggest networking and making connections with people is not one of those places that you automate. So the short answer is I wouldn't do it. Yeah. And I actually call it bad behaviour on LinkedIn. Poor etiquette. And the process kind of goes like this. Someone will invite you to connect, you connect with them. They'll start endorsing you for skills, which I find really strange because they probably haven't worked with me, I don't even know me. And then obviously they're trying to sell me something. So they send me an email via LinkedIn trying to sell me something. Now, if it's really targeted and really well written and I'm in the buying zone, maybe, but it's a numbers game. And I would suggest that if you're going to use messaging, which has just changed, by the way, it's a lot more user-friendly. It changed in the last week or two. It's really much better. Then there's lots of ways to just look at someone's profile, read it, and then if you're going to send them a message, just start a conversation. So again, imagine you're in that room. And I would suggest you would be, LinkedIn is that room and you were just starting a conversation with someone. So you're networking. And I'd suggest that's much more effective than sending, a direct email that you've just cut and pasted the person's name. And I find it very amusing when I get that email and they haven't used my name, like use someone else's name. They've just forgot to cut and paste it. And ask every time I present to people, Kath, I ask for a show of hands of who likes to be sold to. And no one ever puts their hand up.
No. And it's just, I think I love the idea of this whole idea of people asking you to marry you when you haven't even been on a first date.
Yeah, and it's just, it's bad behaviour, and it's not, I talk about LinkedIn etiquette. So treat people with respect. Just because you've connected with someone doesn't give you or them permission to sell to each other.
Yeah. And that's the same with
if you nurture your connections well, they'll, it's an investment in future referrals and future potential clients.
Cool. Okay, so Janine asks, what's the potential business value in joining the groups on LinkedIn?
Okay, so It depends on your ideal client, and it depends how much time that you have. So you need to look at, it's really good for a research tool. So if you want to understand the pain points of your clients and they are active on LinkedIn, it's very easy to do a search and find all the LinkedIn groups. And if it's an open group, you can see all the conversations going on. So if you're also connected with the people in that group and not a member of that group, you can then just email them or even call them and say, look, I noticed you're talking about this, perhaps I can help. Again, people don't like being sold to, so you could then join the group and make a comment within the group. LinkedIn's a slow burn. So the question's really, what was the question? It was around really sales,
the value of joining groups, and I know that I've been part of some groups and they just end up being the same people contributing because they're the only ones active.
Bingo. And I'm not an active member of many groups, whether it be on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever, because A, I don't have time, and B, I do think of any part of any forum, whether it be really any platform, groups are probably the most take the most amount of time. Yeah. So if you're in the early stages of your business and you're in the research phase, or if you're thinking about launching a product, groups are excellent.
Yeah.
If you're really wanting to, in lead conversion mode and wanting to convert to services or sales, I'd suggest, maybe not as effective. So it just depends on your ideal clients and your goals, but it's certainly the most time intensive of all.
Yeah. And I tend to stick in Facebook groups at the moment, just because, and I'm very careful where I am there too. Yeah, just because of that time suck that can happen. And every now and then I go, I need to get some work done. I'm just going to stop getting notifications. Yes. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so Anne had another question regarding sharing and posting content on LinkedIn, and whether it was of value to post the same content across various channels. So whether you put the same content across Facebook and Twitter, or whether it should be modified for LinkedIn.
Okay, so again, it depends on your ideal client. So I would only, and you've got to really think about, what am I sharing? What's my strategy on LinkedIn? So what am I sharing via my profile, and what am I sharing via a company page? So do I on LinkedIn, and am I posting? So it's fine to share something once a day. The question you've got to ask yourself is, why am I sharing this information, and what value is it adding to my community? And if you can, if it's useful, great. I tend, rather than share every day, to like and comment and support my business community on LinkedIn. So if you like or comment something in your settings on the default for this, liked and commented on it. And I think in some ways that's less salesy, because again, if I'm connected to you, it doesn't mean I want to see you spray information at me every day. Whereas on a company page, in terms of sharing and posting, if I've made the decision to follow your company page, it probably gives you greater permission to share information on a rotated basis, not all the time, about what your service is. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. I think because especially with a good Facebook or Twitter strategy, you're posting several times a day, which that's not something that would happen on LinkedIn, is it?
Well, there's no reason why you can't. So globally, the stats, and this comes from LinkedIn, are that the benchmark sort of best users or company pages on LinkedIn. So this is company pages, not profiles.
Yep.
Post, I think it's a Tuesday and a Thursday. Now, it depends on your community. I know that my career changes are on LinkedIn on a Sunday, because they're either in a job they don't like and they're thinking about making a change. And so I post from my profile my blogs on a Saturday, because that gives people time. I sort of treat it like a newspaper article, so it gives people time to really read and consume my information. But you can curate, like if you've got an article, a business article that you share, or an article that's relevant for your ideal client, it's fine to share it on Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. You just might like to tweak your call to action or what you put in the post. And you've got analytics from your company page, not from your profile, from your company page, that tell you what has the greatest engagement. So that tends to influence my next month of posting on my company page, what people are actually wanting to engage with.
Yeah. Now I have a company page and I haven't used it.
And you really have to think about, what is your hero platform?
Yeah.
Where do your ideal clients play? And mine play on LinkedIn. So it makes sense for me to be on LinkedIn. Targeting B2Bs or professionals, be on LinkedIn. But if you're targeting other groups, I mean, everyone's on Facebook, and that's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's worthwhile thinking about for anyone who's looking at LinkedIn as that hero platform, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that LinkedIn is my secondary platform, not my hero platform.
Well, that's good. Number 2 is not bad.
No, number 2 is not bad.
If Facebook works for you and the community that you've built through your group works for you, and that makes heaps of sense. And this is the point here. It's all about your ideal client.
Yeah.
Where do they play, and where do they want to play with you, and where do they want to hear about you? And it might be LinkedIn, and it could be another platform.
Yeah, and I think that's really important for everyone to understand. So cool. All right, so the last little question I've got is about articles on LinkedIn, and being able to share your content through articles. And one of our wonderful members, she went completely viral the other week with an article about working mums. And so I just wanted to get your input onto what the best way to make this work for you, and how often you should post that kind of content, and are there certain types of articles that work best?
Yes, there absolutely are. And one of the things I'll point you and our community to is a recent, I did a recent presentation for the Small Business Festival about sort of the how-tos for publishing.
Yep.
So I'll separately give you the link to that. It's on SlideShare, LinkedIn SlideShare. So
right.
And I'll go into that into more detail. But to answer your question, yes, you need to post regularly. It's similar to a blog post in that you need to, regular can be monthly, but that's probably not enough. So fortnightly, more than weekly, and I even think weekly, depending on the number of connections, is maybe too much. But if you're adding value, always be adding value. Weekly is fine. In terms of sort of what to do and what works, headlines are really important, and your visual is really important. So that's a principle that applies to anything really that you share online.
Yeah.
Questions don't work as well. The 5 ways to, 5 tips for, 3 tips for, the 4 myths about do work.
Yep.
So, stick to the simple principles of what people know works. One of the ones that got greatest traction for me was my 5 social media must-haves, and it was really just talking about, for me, managing social media for Think Bespoke, how do I approach it?
Yep.
And I was just really talking about sort of my perspective, what worked for me, and not being too preachy. And I think you've got to be really careful about, is this easy to read? Is it adding value? Is it something people are interested in? So whether you're publishing a post, sharing information on a company page on LinkedIn, or liking and commenting on something from your profile, make a decision about the 5 topics that you stand for on LinkedIn. And that is that's the best advice I can give you about LinkedIn. You want to be known for something. What is it? What are those 5 or 3 key things that you're going to always talk about that you will become known for? And talk about those in your blog post. The other thing you need to do in preparation for it is to read Pulse. So if you post on LinkedIn, it automatically goes into Pulse, which is LinkedIn's newsfeed. So you can tailor your own home newsfeed to Pulse articles and get a sense of what's being written and what people are commenting on, and let that sort of, again, research them to see within your industry or, people, influencers, because there's still 1,000 global influencers on LinkedIn that are separate from all of us just publishing. What are they writing about, and what are people finding interesting? And people are more than welcome to have a look at my blog post. There's sort of a format I use. So I've talked about the visual, I've talked about the headline. I stick to sort of broadly a certain length. I have a call to action with links to my website or whatever I'm sort of talking about, and then I have a bio at the bottom. So that tends to work. And where I've got more traction recently is tagging. So you have the option to tag in 3 different areas of your post. And here's a little inside tip, for anyone that wants to talk about marketing, when I tag LinkedIn marketing, Kath, that seems to get, LinkedIn seems to prioritize they have LinkedIn marketing in it. So try that and see how it goes. But certainly the 2 where I've tagged LinkedIn marketing.
Yeah, work well.
But you can just start, it's down the bottom of your post. You can start to type in, the category that the topic that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it will auto sort of prompt you for popular topics.
Okay, cool. We probably need to wrap up there today, but that's been fantastic. Lots of great advice there. Thank you so much. And I hope that our members that ask the questions find that really useful. And the rest of our community as well. So that's great. Thank you so much, Karen. That was wonderful.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I will grab some details from you and we'll pop them at the bottom of our little YouTube link and blog link and all those wonderful things I've still got to do. And we will speak to you really soon.
Great. Thanks, Kath. Bye.
Bye.